arts, lifestyle. SNS Online.
Hello people. Well, today I'm standing outside the Royal Exchange Theatre in Manchester, ready to put the spotlight on quite literally the greatest play in the history of the world, penned by writer Ian Kershaw and starring one of the nation's favourites, actor Julie Hesmondhalgh. After a sellout run in Edinburgh for this year's Fringe, this play is back where it began, with a special gala performance to help raise some much-needed cash for Maggie's Centre, a retreat for cancer patients, and in honour of local resident Tommy Stott, a cancer sufferer himself who raised well over £25,000 for cancer charities in the UK. The play has already garnered much attention and looks set to have a long life in the years ahead. A story about life and love and time.
A committee was assembled to decide which images and sounds should go onto the golden record, and this committee was chaired by Carl Sagan. You don't like Carl Sagan. He was a real personality, a dope smoker, a rock star scientist who ruminated on a great many things in our world and beyond. He had so many different careers, all colliding and overlapping. It was as if he knew that he wouldn't live to an old age, that he had to cram it all in. This, via Carl Sagan, is my advice to you all. Cram it in.
So I'm in the Royal Exchange Theatre with the wonderful Julie Hesmondhalgh. Hello again.
Hello again, Nick. Yeah.
Let's talk about the greatest play in the history of the world. Now that's quite a title.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of a difficult sell actually with that, but yes, the play explains. Yes, so The Greatest Play in the History of the World was written by my husband, Ian, a couple of Christmases ago. I bullied him and said, write me a one-woman play, and then we can retire off it and go travelling around the world and be like, oh, there's a little festival in Vancouver, let's get over there. So, and bless him, he obediently did, and kept disappearing to the cellar where I keep him, and working for, well, and not telling me what he was doing, and not even disappearing for irritatingly long amounts of time.
Did he not even give you a clue what it was about?
No, he didn't.
How cool.
No, he didn't tell me anything. He just, and he does go off and just answer a few emails now and again and whatever. And then at the end of the Christmas holidays, he handed it to me, and there's this beautiful play, the first draft of it, which was called The Greatest Play in the History of the World, and the title came before anything else apparently. And so it's a love story set in time and space, set on a road in the north of England, but it could be anywhere. But the backdrop to it is the story of the golden record on Voyager 1, which is now drifting through time and space, waiting to be found by extraterrestrial life.
I remember it very well in '77 when it all went off. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm of that vintage.
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of people are really, and it was the anniversary, obviously, last year, and that's when we first did the play. And a lot of people are massive Carl Sagan fans. He's a bit of a sort of legend in science circles, and people really love him. And he was the person who chaired the committee to decide which images and sounds of Earth they were going to send into space, so that if alien life did find this disc, what would they learn about Earth from it? So that's the kind of sort of meat of the play, but against this really simple love story. And it's gone down a treat. We took it to Edinburgh. We're at the Travis at Edinburgh for a month in August.
I was gutted I missed that because I was there the year before the 70th anniversary. So I'm so pleased I got to see it.
Well, we're making up for it now, aren't we? So it's fine. And it's like, and actually this is where we started it, and it's lovely to come back here and do it, and there's a real, this is like my theatre, do you know what I mean? This is
spiritual home.
Well, it's where I'm most at home, and I know everyone here. It's a brilliant place to work, and Manchester's my city, so it feels really nice to bring it back here. But I think this will be the start of a long life of it, so you can catch it in a community centre in Norwich in 2034 or something. I'll be touring it for the rest of my life now. Be careful what you wish for.
Brilliant. It was so funny when I came into the theatre and you were there early, and I wasn't expecting you to be there. I thought, you'd be hiding behind the scenes, and you were just, and I thought, can I say hello, or are you in character? And if you speak to me, am I suddenly going to be involved in something a bit weird? And I was a bit nervous first of all. So you gave me a huge hug.
Yeah, people are terrified of audience participation, aren't they? No, I do that really. I'm just in the theatre milling around when people come in, and was in Edinburgh as well, just because it really chills me out. It relaxes me just to be able to say hello to everyone and see who's in, and then there's no surprises for me. And also, there's little bits that I do with the audience beforehand that I use in the show later. So yeah, no, it's really nice for me because it just makes me feel a little bit like embedded in it, and I'm like, we're all in this together kind of thing.
Absolutely. No, it was lovely. And such a lovely play. So emotional, but also shades of Sapphire and Steel. I don't know if you remember that series, where it was all about, that's more the nuts and bolts of what is actually supposed to be happening.
Yeah. That's interesting. Nobody
time stopping and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that's the idea that time stops, on a road, and what happens in that. And as you heard Ian explain in the Q&A, that was his first kind of thoughts. And he said that normally when he writes something, he structures it very carefully. He loves structure, and he sorts out the structure and then fills in the gaps. But with this, it was very much just starting with the title and then just thinking about what it would be like to be on a road when time stops, and to be the only person who's kind of awake in that moment, and that was the starting point for the whole play. But yeah, it's lovely. I love doing it. I love doing it because it's a really gentle story piece, but also I think it's got a lot to say in these very troubled times about what really matters at the end of the day. About what you leave behind, and what life has ultimately meant to you, and what your time on earth has meant, and it's just lovely. People seem to be really responding to it, so it's great.
So Ian, you are the writer of the play and also Julie's husband. Tell us a little bit about the play. Why did it happen in the first place?
Well, it's called The Greatest Play in the History of the World, so I deliberately gave it that title so that hopefully you'd introduce me as, this is Ian Kershaw, who wrote The Greatest Play in the History of the World.
Damn, I'm sorry, I missed that one. It was dead good though.
Oh, thank you. No, Julie's my wife, and she said to me some time ago, right, you're a writer, why don't you write me a one-woman show, and we can travel the world, and it can be our pension, it can be our retirement, and so I was thinking about that for some time, and she kept saying, why, you've not written me anything? And then one night I was going to bed, and the title just popped into my head, so I scribbled it down, and then started writing from there.
But it's very sort of, as you were saying in the Q&A, very sort of free form. You really don't know where it's going to go, and I really like that. Was it really nice not being shackled to connected storylines, and you've got to get to point A at this point and all the rest of it?
Yeah, it was really nice to be free from that, but I also really like that system because it doesn't, by plotting everything out and by knowing what you're going to be writing the next day, you don't have time to have a block, because you have to have so many pages done by the end of the day. There's so many scenes done, but it was very freeing and very liberating. But as a consequence, you'd be writing something and then something would appear and you'd be like, oh, okay, I like this, so I'll have to backseed this now and go back and just plant that seed. And so it was nice to do.
So you were obviously very inspired by Carl Sagan. Were you a teenager watching Cosmos like I was?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, you missed Cosmos?
Yeah, I completely missed it. I got a mate who came to see it when we did it here in November, and he said, oh, you Carl Sagan, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, I didn't know him, and he sent me Cosmos, so I've been catching up with it. Yeah.
As you say, the rock star of that world.
Yeah, the Professor Brian Cox of his time.
Absolutely. How do you feel the play's been going down with audiences?
People seem to really like it, and hopefully it's funny in parts, but it's got a kind of like moving feel to it. So we've talked about it that at the end of the show there are quite a few people in tears, and you don't really know why. And you've been told a story about two very ordinary people who live on a very ordinary street, and I feel as though that's something that I wanted to write about just the ordinariness of life, and about how if you examine every single person, in this city, on the face of the earth, that we've all got stories to tell and we're all interesting individuals and we can all care about each other, really.
I mean, you see, I'm a big Doctor Who fan. I'll sing parallels there because that's how the Doctor would see everybody. Everybody is extraordinary, you know, in their own way.
Yeah. I love a bit of Doctor Who.
Well, yeah, but there was a little bit of sci-fi there, a little bit of Sapphire and Steel, you know, implied of, you know, two versions of people meeting up. And what do you think the older you would say to you?
Oh God, that's a good question. What would the older me say to me? I don't know.
Notice I didn't say what would you say to the younger you, because so that was a bit rude.
No, well, I think that's a good question for me to ask, to say, what would I say to my younger self would be, don't worry worry so much, just enjoy each moment. And I have this big thing about, we're not born with a map, but we die with a map. So we don't know what.
Oh, I like that. That's very good. That's very scripty, writery.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's kind of like we don't know what we're doing, and we kind of like wander around life and the world, and we make these connections, and it's only retrospectively we look back and go, oh, if it wasn't for that, if I hadn't have done that, then I wouldn't have met that person. So I have this thing that there's that thing of theatre changes people's lives, which is a lot of people say involved in theatre, and a lot of people who aren't involved in theatre kind of poo-poo it. But I was a joiner and I worked on building sites in Oldham when I was about 20. Served my time as a joiner, worked on estates and blah, blah, blah. And then I went to the theatre for the first time when I was 21 and saw a play for the first time and thought, oh, that's what I want to do. And it changed my life. And I packed in my job the next day and enrolled at Tameside College, did a performing arts course, and then went to drama school, trained as an actor, and then gradually found my way into becoming a writer. And if I hadn't have been to see that play, then I wouldn't have done that thing and blah, 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 and I wouldn't be married now with two beautiful daughters.
Oh yeah, I'm filling up. I tell you, that's so beautiful. Listen, Ian, congratulations to the play. What happens next? You're going to evolve it even more?
Oh, thank you. I don't know what happens next. We kind of like it as it is.
So do I.
So we're going to carry on touring it, and we've joked about it that it's our retirement, but it could well be. We could be touring this show for the rest of our days. And there's been talk about doing it on radio. There's been talk about making a film of it, but we're very.
How about putting it on ice? No, not literally. I mean, literally. No, I'm just kidding you, mate.
that
with Disney characters.
Interesting. Yeah. Giant heads. I like it. No, but we're very passionate about it existing as it is now, and taking it to places and showing it to people and letting them join us on the journey as it is, as opposed to sending it through another medium.
I don't think you need to change one word. Ian, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
So, gala performance done. Time now to get the vibe from the audience. Starting with this from Lois.
I thought it was incredible. I definitely didn't expect to need tissues for it, but I thought it was incredible. I thought it was heartwarming, but also uplifting as well. I think it brings everybody. At one point in the play, you know, we're all up in space and time and everything like that, but then it brings you down to earth as well and what's important to you as well. I thought it was really, really good. Yeah.
And quite a cosy play as well. It was all about things that matter, about love and togetherness and family and closeness, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like everybody who was within the room was sort of, we were all watching it as one, and it was definitely felt one-on-one with the with Julie. I thought she was absolutely incredible. Like when she was, you know, at the beginning, she was chatting to everybody and everything like that, and she said in the Q&A that it was to make herself feel comfortable, which I thought was lovely. But then she didn't leave the stage to just start the play. She just started it right then and there. I thought that was really, really professional, and just like really great to watch. I've never seen that with an actor before, so I thought it was really good to see.
Absolutely, I haven't seen it either. I was amazed. I wasn't sure if I should be speaking to her or not. But is she in character? Is she not? But yeah.
Zone or not.
So would you recommend this to your friends and
yeah, honestly, I wish I could come and see it every week just to remind myself of what I need to be, reminded of with what's important at the very end of it. I don't want to spoil it, but at the very end of it, when talking about what's important to yourself and everything she was listing, I felt like I was like, oh, that's on my list, and that's when I could hear the sniffles in the audience and things like that. I feel like it's the kind of thing that I think everybody should be able to see it, just to sort of, feel better about everything.
If you met yourself, say 40, 50 years time, what would you like her to say to you as a younger person to perhaps help?
I would like to think that my older self would tell me that anything that is happening for a reason, and that's it. The universe is looking after you, and that's absolutely it. I try and live by that. It's easy to get caught up in work and social lives where things don't quite go to plan. You're annoyed about it, but when I'd like to think that my future self would just say, it's happening, it's fine.
I think my future self would just tell me to cut my toenails more often, but there we go. Listen, Lois, thank you so much. Lovely to meet you tonight.
Thank you, you too.
My name's Abby, and I thought it was incredible. She managed to carry the whole play on her own. It was amazing. I think she's so talented.
Your name, sir?
It's Harris. It reminded me very much of a Kate Tempest poem that I'd read a while ago, which was based around a time in the middle of the morning where people wake up and suddenly have these kind of existential worries about where they are in their life. And I quite enjoyed that comparison to it.
It's called
Madam.
Let Them Eat Chaos.
Let them eat chaos.
Let them eat chaos. Oh, I like that.
It's excellent, yeah.
So
This was also excellent. Yeah, brought a tear to my eye at the end.
Yes, it did to me as well, and I thought it was just me. I thought, hang on, am I supposed to... I thought this is a bit awkward because I'm getting a bit misty here, but then I heard snivels, and I thought, oh, that's all right. I feel a bit more relaxed now.
Yeah, no, I found the ending of it incredibly moving, actually. It was the idea of where we are, and the insignificance of us and the massive significance of the universe. And yet, our insignificance is actually very important to us. That notion of us having an enormous story, which is tiny in the context of everything else, but huge to us.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you. I'm glad I chatted to you. So,
my name's Kate, and I feel that that's quite difficult to follow, but it was just really good to see something really uplifting after a bit of a rubbish day. I know that's quite a mundane comment, but it was just really uplifting.
I'm glad you had a nice end to your rubbish day. My day was pretty tough, but it ended up brilliantly, thanks to Julie and her husband and everybody. So excellent.
I thought it was absolutely immense tonight. I've heard about the play. Everybody's told me I've got to go and see it, and it's the best decision I've ever made to go and see this.
That's wonderful. Did you find it quite moving?
I thought it was funny, moving, every emotion I was going through tonight, because it was just so beautiful. It was so well written. Raz done a great job on the direction, and Julie's Julie.
So Raz, the director of the play, very honoured to speak to you, sir. What an amazing performance tonight. So were you happy with tonight?
Tonight was great. I mean, the show's been just done a run for a month in Edinburgh and come down here, and it really feels like Julie's, she always comes home. And the audiences in Edinburgh were great and amazing, and their response was brilliant. But there's always a kind of warmth, a kind of family feeling when she comes back and plays the show. And because it's a special gala night, it always kind of felt even more special. So it was brilliant.
Tell us your names and what you thought of the play.
Dawn. And I'm Amy.
Hello, Dawn and Amy.
We are the granddaughter and daughter of someone that works in the Green Moon. That's one of the friends of someone that directed the play.
Oh, right, fantastic.
Yeah. Tommy Stott, that's her dad. I'm his granddaughter, and that's his wife over there.
So we're raising money for charities, but he helped to raise money for them.
Maggie's was a massive thing in my dad's life. In Didsbury, just round the corner from where everyone gets the chemotherapy. Honestly, it was a really huge thing. It's only come up to light when my dad was diagnosed, and it was a really, really special place where people can go to live and not die with cancer, to live with cancer. And that's all my dad believed in. And
well, that's wonderful. Listen, thank you so much. Lovely to chat to you both. Yeah.
So, all in all, a very life-affirming evening with the help of some very special people. Keep an eye and ear out for the greatest play in the history of the world, because I have a feeling that we haven't seen the last of it. I'm Nick Randell. Goodbye.
It's basically about these incredibly brave, brilliant, extraordinary young women, aged mainly between 18 and 28, who flew planes to the front line during World War II.
Do you think Emily Davison wanted to kill herself that day?
All her journalism is about martyrdom and fire and sacrifice and nobility and awakenings. It just reads like one long suicide note. I think she really meant to do it.
Because I wanted the world to get better, and I knew it couldn't get better if it's going to be ruled by men. Matter of fact, I think it's amazing how well the men did for 2,000 years, considered they tried to do it alone.
I really feel that all the things about being gay can help us as adopters, because we know what it's like to feel different, and we can share that with our children, and I think the level of empathy is quite unique and important.
I thought to myself, well, if this is a twice-weekly programme and going on throughout the year, I should be editor. So I gave myself the job, as it were, and had it on the credits, and nobody queried it. It was extraordinary.
Girls in the Women's Auxiliary Air Force are being called upon to handle many of the responsible jobs which were previously entrusted only to RAF mechanics and ground staff.
And they flew without radar, sometimes without training on that particular plane. You know, they'd have learnt on a Tiger Moth and they'd be given a Spitfire.
I don't think it did help me get a pay rise, but the point was, I suppose children's programmes were regarded as so insignificant, nobody bothered what went on.
Pauline Gower was the woman who spearheaded it. She got equal pay for equal work.
Yes,
the first woman ever
which is very,
in Britain
very
to
topical
do it.
in the
and
news at the moment.
We are still fighting that battle in 2018. How does that happen?
Rise Up, Women, a special season of shows exclusive to SNS Online.